All right, let's start with, I want to know what your first date was. And how did it go? How'd you prepare? Let's hear everybody's first date story. Who wants to go first? All right, Chiara.
My first date was at the library in 6th grade, and it went great. Perfect. My mom chaperoned, became assistant. Wonderful.
Wait, I want to know more. Come on.
I don't know, we were in 6th grade. We were like already boyfriend and girlfriend.
Did you like read a book together?
Yeah, we browsed. We played it cool. It was nice.
My first date was when I was 13. My mom drove us to go see The Haunting of Hill House. I am still very scared of horror movies. I will lie awake for a week after seeing one. But I didn't want him to think that I wasn't cool. So I went, and I screamed really, really, really loudly, and there wasn't a second date.
My first date was with the guy that played Jesus in my high school production of Godfather. And he was a senior and I was a junior, so it was extra cool. We went to Applebee's, but his parents wouldn't let him have other people in his car because he just got his license, so I had to get dropped off by my parents. And things didn't work out, and it was awkward seeing crucified every night. The end.
My first date was probably in high school, late bloomer, and I remember he asked me to meet him in a park, and he weirdly had like his leg up on the park bench when I came to meet him, and he had this whole like spiel planned to say like, oh, I was supposed to be like, oh, who's supposed to sit there, and he had this plan of he's like, oh, my girlfriend. But I locked my keys in my car immediately when I got to the park, and so when I got there, I like ruined the entire plan for him. And I was like, I locked my keys in my car. He's like, later he told me, he's like, I was going to ask you to be my girlfriend, and I destroyed it.
My first date, well, I was a very late bloomer actually, which is ironic because now I write a sex column. But it was in college actually. And my freshman year of college, I kind of did everything all at once. So pretty much had my first kiss when I was 18, and then like everything happened, and then boyfriend, this, that. But it's like what happens when you just like go to college? And yeah, I remember like seeing him in the cafeteria and being like, oh, he's so hot, and then we got together, and I think the security guard was a friend of ours for some reason, and she was sitting with us talking, and our fingers were kind of like touching, and it was like such a big deal because it was like my first date, and yeah, it was pretty special. I think that was probably one of the best relationships I've ever had. But there will be, the next one's going to be even better, obviously.
My first date was with a guy from Jew camp, and I was 15 and he was 16, and he told me we were going to like a Clippers game, and I had always sat like way up high, and I guess he had like asked his like dad's uncle's coworker for like floor seats. And I'm 15 and I was really hungry before the Clippers game. And then I'm like, what is happening? Like the seats were on the court. And I'm 15, like I don't even think that's cool. I think that's like, but I wanted to eat my nachos, and I'm like scared eating my nachos. Anyways, I didn't go out with him again because I didn't even, I don't know why I didn't. I should have. That was a really cool date when you're 15. I don't know, I'm a dick. Okay. What is the biggest thing you've learned about relationships from writing about them?
I actually, before I worked at Cosmopolitan, I worked at Martha Stewart Weddings, which I feel like I learned the most about relationships there because I listened to so many couple stories. And the undercurrent of them all, the thing I learned was that everyone has their own like weird ways, and if it works for them, like so cool. Yeah, everyone's different, and there were totally times where I was like, oh, that's never gonna last. But that's not true. Like, if it works for you, it works. So there really is like no right or wrong way. I know that's kind of like a answer, but it's the truth.
One thing I definitely learned from writing It Ended Badly about terrible, terrible breakups is that practically nobody's life gets defined by their terrible breakup. Edith Wharton wrote 300 letters to her ex-boyfriend, which she didn't reply to, and nobody is like, oh, you know what we remember about the lady who wrote The Age of Innocence? Like, wrote endless letters to her ex-boyfriend. So it's really, really hard to behave so badly that anybody will remember anything you did during a breakup.
Yeah, that's super good to know.
I think if you boil the advice sections of our book down, it all comes down to you do you. Every chapter, Laura and I
Yeah,
wrote,
we used to
we're
joke,
like,
we're like, can we just write like the sentence you do you?
Yeah. And I think it sounds so simple, but a lot of people when they're dating are just trying to make other people happy and do what other people think that they should do. But if you do you and are confident, you will attract a better kind of person. So I think you do you. That's what I learned.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. It's what's great about it is that you really focus on you in a way as you're even when you're writing it, and it also gives you an agency that's kind of cool because when you do go on those bad dates, you do have that card in a way where you kind of know you can write about them. I mean, obviously, I always disguise people, but it kind of is a nice power to have, and so I think that's, and then also I think that relationships are like a microcosm for, they represent so much more, and it's almost like a foil for other things, just human connectedness that you get to discuss. And that's really exciting to be able to like focus on that, but realize that it like relates to so many other things. So
I think what I learned is that the best relationships are the ones where you meet up with your friend. I think we talked about this last week, but you meet up with a friend, you don't have that much to say. They're like, what's going on? Like, how's Joe? And you're just like, things are good. And that's it. It's sort of more of a red flag when you're like, things are fine. We have like this little thing, and then you like launch into it.
I always joke that like people that are single have much better stories at brunch. I think we were talking about that too. Yeah, because like when you're in a good relationship, you're like the most boring person at brunch. You have nothing to talk about. Yeah, I think what I learned is kind of similar to a lot of what you guys said. Is like there's no one way to meet somebody. Everybody has a different story. So when you ask people what they're having that story, what? Do you have a question?
I have a question for Jennifer.
Oh,
okay, fine.
From what time period was the perfect man 185 pounds and 5 steps?
I saw him jumping up and down when he said that quote.
Got it.
What?
Yeah, 1921.
That's not that long ago.
No, it's
Again.
On that note, I'm going to open it up to questions. So, I will. Does anybody have questions? I have some backups if you guys don't, but I know you do.
Do you have any fun Ryan Seacrest stories?
Oh, that's for me. Okay,
That was for you.
I'll get that.
Ryan Seacrest stories. So I remember when I got hired, his assistant like kind of passive aggressively told me not to wear heels, like to wear flats. So that was interesting. People are always asking me, like the first question is like, is he gay? And I'm like, no, God, like no, I don't know. But also he would always try to like ask me about my young college girlfriends. So that happened. He's a workaholic. Oh my God, these are bad stories. What's another story? Oh, he ordered like $80 worth of sushi for lunch every day that I would pick up. Yeah, $80 worth of sushi, and then we could eat like the leftovers that he did from the platter. And we were given the scraps. Like he would eat it and then put it on this table that was kind of in the common area, and then we were allowed to eat, which is gross, right? Like you don't want to eat somebody's leftover sushi, but like we did. Because I was a broke college student.
My question is to everyone. I want to know what most impacted you in your single life that influenced how you approach relationships.
Okay, I know exactly what it is. Somebody, and I don't know, I might have thought this was brilliant because I was in my mid-20s at the time, but somebody once told me that whenever you're considering going out with someone, ask yourself, if this person were a person of the same sex, would you go out and get a cup of coffee with them? And think about the criteria that you would use to evaluate that, and it's not like, oh, they're 6'4" and they're a lawyer. For me, it's whether or not they get my jokes, and whether or not they're smart and interesting to talk to. And I feel like once I started applying that criteria to whether or not I wanted to go out on dates with people, my dating life got radically better.
More question?
My mom told me similarly. I had inspired by her like a one date rule, which is anybody who sort of gets up the courage to ask you out for a date or a cup of coffee or whatever, you can afford to like go out for like a cup of coffee or a drink or something, just to give them a chance, because it's scary to ask somebody out. And if somebody thinks so highly of you that they'll put themselves on the line. I mean, obviously there are like outliers to this. Like if you get like a really bad feeling about somebody, then don't. But if it's just like, I don't think he's my type. Like just go out for coffee, because worst case scenario, like, yep, you were right, and you like drain your coffee quickly and you do your duty, and maybe on the other hand they'll surprise you. So.
Or if you think, would I want my daughter to date this person? I've been in a relationship and I thought that, and I was like, no. But I wouldn't want my daughter to be with him. So that was confusing. I was like, I guess I shouldn't be with him.
Yeah, my mom used to say something, and my sister, so she'll agree and nod, but she said that she dated everyone from priests to pushers, which was dramatic. She didn't actually mean she dated priests or pushers, but it was like you have to date a wide variety of people to kind of know what you like. And I always think about that when giving someone a chance, or if someone asks you out, you're like, yeah, okay. Maybe this is just a step, or maybe this is someone that I will really like.
Yeah, for me, I guess like less knowing who I want to date, but it's so cheesy, but knowing who you are, that was the big turnaround for me. Like once I found like sketch comedy and writing and everything, and I was passionate about something, I think that makes you just a much more attractive person, and you're also distracted, and you're not obsessing about the people you're dating, you're obsessing about healthy things that like you're interested in. So once I got into comedy, I was beating them off with a stick. I beat them off with a stick, and I had two people seriously interested, and I chose one of them, and I'm still with it. If it was 1921, he'd be perfect. Are there any other questions? Or Lauren, do you want to share some advice from?
Oh, what I learned. Oh my God.
What did I learn? Before I was with my current man, I had like never dated anybody really more than 3 months. I would just get bored, or it would end, and I think I learned that I didn't want to waste my own personal time hanging with someone that I have more fun by myself. You know? Like I would rather be at home reading a book or watching TV or just out with my friends than like hanging out with somebody that I'm not really that into. So I think just, learning kind of, I guess similar to what Angela said, which is, just being happy with yourself and things that you like to do. And that's, I don't know. I'm not.
I just remembered something that I learned while I was like very regularly writing about dating, and it, like huge grain of salt. I have no idea if this is true. This just really stuck with me. There was this like statistician at Harvard who sort of figured out the formula for like how many people you have to date until you should have like.
Wait, is it the secretary? It's called like the secretary problem. It's like a mathematical.
I don't know. Maybe. It was math. Math was involved. But it figured out that the like secret number was 12, for some reason, and if you've dated, like counting back to like your first date in 6th grade at the library up to now, if you've dated under 12 people, then you're still sort of like gathering information, seeing what you like, etc. But if you've dated more than 12 people, it's like, all right, you've collected enough data. You know what you like, you know what works, you know what doesn't work, and then the next person that you go out with who sort of meets your like basic requirements, you should just lock down. I'm interested to what people.
We're all doing serious math in our heads.
I'm ready to lock it
My husband was like number 40, so I didn't follow that at all.
I have a question. What's something you've always like wanted to say to your friends who are in relationships but you haven't said? Stop bringing your boyfriend when we hang out. We're just hypocritical now because I remember. Sorry.
You're not happy.
Can we talk about something else?
I say that a lot. Oh, you say that?
I think I do say that.
Yeah. Can we talk about something else?
Can we talk about something else?
Other than your boyfriend?
Yeah.
Maybe you should stop dating people that make you talk about them. In a sad way. Like a way for it to justify that everything will be okay.
So you guys are either editors at women's magazines or written for women's magazines. Is there something you wish that women's magazines did more of or better about talking about being single that you would like to see more of or get assignments for?
I just wish we talked more about it, which is why I wrote my piece, because I felt like if so many women are single, then why aren't we talking about how great it can be, or why are we making women feel bad about it? You know, Cosmo writes a lot about relationships and how to work on relationships and how to have really hot sex in relationships, which is all important, trust me, but it's also important to talk about the other half, which literally is the other half. It's 50%. I think just covering the single person's thoughts and ideas, that's why I wrote the piece, because I was like, we need a voice for this in the magazine. So I think just acknowledging it is important.
Working at a lot of celebrity magazines, I sometimes hated the way that they would cover breakups or refer to people as somebody else's girlfriend or somebody else's wife, instead of recognizing them as individuals. So I guess I'd like to see that changed more. Instead of like first appearance after breakup, it's like, no, just like cover her movie premiere because she like worked really hard on this movie. You know? So like things like that, I would like to see changed more.
I hate nostalgia for periods when people were all getting married because it wasn't good. That wasn't a good thing. In the 19th century, Parliament almost had to ban arsenic because so many women were using it to poison their husbands because they couldn't get it at So I think there's this false notion that the past was like this beautiful place where everybody was in these really happy relationships and everybody was June Cleaver. And that was statistically and just anecdotally absolutely untrue. Domestic violence was terrible. Like the fact that people got married at 19 was not a good idea. The past is a nightmare, and we live in the best age ever.
Any other questions?
Final call? Awesome.
Well, we're still get some drinks if you want, and we'll be hanging around if you want to just come talk to us one-on-one. We'll sign your book. Yeah, we'll sign your books.
Over here.
We'll hang over here. But you can come chat with us if you have a question you want to ask us, you don't want to ask in front of everyone, and get some more booze, then maybe you really will ask that question.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you so much for coming. This is so much fun.